Thanks for joining me today at Learnwake. My name is Brandon Judd, and I'm responding to a video analysis request that has been uploaded by Rebecca here. And Rebecca is trying to go wake to wake and get higher, more consistent pop. Right now, her wake jump, it comes up a little short, so we'll watch that real quick before I get too far into it. So she cases the wake a little bit. So that said, couple things I'm going to have you work on. One of them is just some advice on, and I know it's definitely a set of training wheels, but it's a way to help you if you feel like you're really stuck and can't adjust and implement the advice that I'm going to give you today. One thing you can do, you did mention that you're riding at about 19 miles an hour at 55 feet in length on an Axis A22. It does look like you have possibly some ballast in the boat. The wakes look like a decent shape. So one thing you can do is speed up just a little bit, like half a mile an hour, and shorten the rope by 2.5 feet or something, and just a little bit. And by doing that, it won't feel too dramatically different for you. But what it will do is it will narrow the wakes up, probably just enough for you to get wake to wake consistently. Even though your wake jump won't be fundamentally perfect, it will get you past this scary casing the wake and possibly falling really hard on this side of the wake. So you'll be landing more on the downside of the wake. What that does is it gives you a boost of confidence and allows you to actually implement the things that I'm going to suggest. If you normally land wake to wake, but this was just one of your really good examples of when you get hung up, then perhaps you may not need to adjust anything on your rope length and boat speed. You could just implement the things that I suggest. But just something to tuck in your hat in case you need to make some adjustments. So, all right, moving on to this actual trick and what you're doing. So let's talk about the problems, and then I'll show you the fixes. Right now, two things are happening that are not working right. The first thing is that your board is pointed directly across the wakes. And that kind of happens because you edge out so wide and come in so aggressively across the wakes. So let's just look at that. So it looks like your fins are like almost ready to slip out as you stand tall. And then, so that's the first one, is your board is pointed really far across the wakes. Like right here, that's so far perpendicular to the path of the boat that your edge doesn't really sink in, and you end up kind of sliding up the wakes a little. And when you slide up the wakes a little, you're not harnessing as much of the power of the wake, and you just don't go up so high. The other part, and this is kind of causing, because your angle is a little off, this is actually causing your body to do this a little bit too. So right now you're not fully extended. You're just starting to get there. You actually don't get fully tall until right here, which is too late. So the way to time it is just like the trampoline. A lot of people get hung up on this. So let's just imagine you're jumping on the trampoline right now, and the mat underneath you is what pushes you back up. So when you're jumping on the trampoline and your body is at its heaviest and the mat is at its most depressed, that is when your body naturally resists that standing tall position and resists the push from the mat, the upward push from the mat. And what happens is it pushes your body up, and your body does not absorb any of that energy because you're locked out tall and nice and stiff. So if that makes sense, that timing of when do I stand tall and when do I not stand tall, the timing of when you stand tall is the time when the trampoline mat is pushing at you the hardest. So don't get hung up on thinking, I got to stand tall at the bottom of the wake, or I got to stand tall at the top of the wake, or I need to stand tall 3/4 up the wake. You just don't have the mental capacity to pay attention at that much detail and then time the push. It's not something you think, it's something you feel. So just like on the trampoline, imagine if you were to try and tell yourself when to jump on the trampoline. You would end up not rhythmically jumping at all. It's a feeling more than it is thought process. So When you go to stand tall, just anticipate when the wake is pushing at you the most, and whenever the wake is pushing at you the most, that's when you want to be as tall as possible so that you can resist that push from the wake, and that resistance is what pushes you up in the air. I know we got way too analytical and mechanical on that one, but I hope that makes sense. That analogy often helps people understand what the feeling is supposed to be like. So part of the reason you're doing this right now is because of that angle, though. If you were to stand fully tall a little earlier, you would likely start to slip out, and it would feel really uncomfortable. So this may be subconsciously why you wait so long to stand tall until the wake's not under you, because you don't feel like you'll slip out in the air. So it's just a little bit of a mistiming here, and that mistiming can definitely be corrected. So let's take you to an instructional video here that will help you get past that angle issue you're having. So this is called the Feeling Your Feet drill, and it's basically a sliding to edging drill, and you shift between sliding and edging. You use the rope as leverage. It helps you understand the angle that the board is at underneath your feet, so that you can recognize the feeling and correct it as you're riding, or realize it's really bad and then stop and restart. So I would recommend this drill. Go ahead and you can search for this. It's called Feeling Your Feet drill, and practicing this a couple times will really help get your traction a lot better through the wake. So it's a pretty simple drill. I think you'll enjoy it. The other thing is the width in which you are edging. So I would advise that you watch this. This instructional video is called Wake Jump Variations. Right now you're edging out really far and coming in really wide, and you're probably doing that because you feel like you need that distance to go wake to wake. But this video, you don't have to go through every type of jump here, but it shows you the different types of wake jumps that you can accomplish and how they are affected. So look at how short this approach is, and Kyle can still go wake to wake real nice. So you don't have to edge out that wide, and this video really shows you all the different types and helps you understand how the physics works a little bit more. So I'd recommend watching both those videos, trying the Feeling Your Feet drill, and that should get you back on track. Alright, so that being said, I think that this is very correctable for you, and that Feeling Your Feet drill is going to help change the angle of this. So right now the angle of the board is here. I should be able to see more of the bottom of the board, and you will be able to see here how if it was angled more like this, that would allow you to get more height and be able to land nice wake to wake. So again, hopefully that helps you. I think this is not going to be too overly difficult to fix. Just may take some rewiring on your timing at the wake, but I think you're on the right track. It looks like you're pretty comfortable in the air and comfortable edging on the water, which is really good. So after you get that accomplished, I'd recommend riding switch a little bit and doing some sliding drills that we suggest on Learnwake. The reason being is if you can ride your board backwards, it makes your normal stance feel even more comfortable. It's kind of a weird mental thing, but it will really help your overall riding improve. So those are my suggestions, and hopefully they help you out. If you have any other questions or if you're struggling with something else, feel free to upload another analysis video, and we'll keep helping you out. Thanks again.